Okay, here we are back on another special tape. This one's called The Meditation, and it deals with a book written by Billy Meier. This information is not from the Pleiades, I guess you could say that, and that Billy wrote this book on his own. Much of the information in this book is founded on his travels when he was younger through India, his many, many years of studying meditation and meditation practices. The information in here also has been collaborated by the Pleiadians, and he has discussed this information with Semjase and some of the others. But for the most part, this book deals with Billy's ideas on what meditation is and how to use it and why you should use it. So I thought we'd spend a little bit of time on this tape, and I'll explain to you as much as possible, the time allows here, about what's in the book, an explanation of it, because the book was written in German. It was translated a few years ago by Roberta Brooks, but unfortunately it's no longer on the market and it's not obtainable. But it does contain a lot of really valuable information about meditation itself, because there's a lot of confusion about meditation. To most people, the uninitiated, it sounds like something that some Eastern guru may do, or you probably have to wear a white robe and sit on a hilltop in India to meditate. To most of people, especially in America, mainstream America, meditation isn't something they even understand. And I think if you ask most people to define what it is, they wouldn't know. They would probably think you had to align yourself with some sort of belief structure or philosophy, mostly Eastern, before you could use meditation. That it's probably some process of a thinking type. Well, it's actually not. It's nothing mystical. It's nothing magical at all. As we go through this, you'll see that it's simply nothing more really than it's just a method of controlling your thoughts, so you can teach yourself self-knowledge. Learn to understand all the factors of the material and of the spiritual self. You see, unfortunately, to many people, they're not even aware that there is a spiritual self. And through meditation, you can actually use this as an exercise, one, to find out you actually do have a spirit, and you can actually feel the force of it within yourself. And then you can learn to apply the logic of your meditative exercises to your daily life. This will actually cause personality change, calming down of the ego and emotions. There will be an increase in stability in your life, and you will be luckier, and things just kind of go your way. Probably its greatest benefit is just overall you're just more peaceful, and you have a much better understanding of yourself. The depth at which you would want to learn meditation and how far you want to carry it in your life is completely up to you. It requires no belief in any sort of belief system, structure, religion, or ideology. It's not necessary at all in order to meditate. As a matter of fact, a simple meditation can be nothing more than while you're sitting in a traffic jam on a freeway to just observe the gentle passing of your breath going in and out of your nose. That's meditation. It just calms you down and focuses your attention on something else, and just for a few seconds you kind of float away and forget your problems of the day. So let me talk a little bit about meditation itself, and I'll explain to you a little bit about what's in the book and what you can learn from that. Okay? Meditation, to begin with, as described by Billy when he writes the book at the beginning of it, he calls it the teaching of powerful powerlessness. It's based on the absolute logic of the creation and its logic of sevenfold laws. It follows the natural development of the 7 stages of development of human life. He again refers to that. Powerful powerlessness. Interesting phrase. It means the liberation from illogical thinking and action. It means it's a certainty of logic. Now, powerful powerlessness, that sounds almost like a contradiction in terms there. This refers to a number of things. In simplest terminology, it just means letting go of your material senses a little bit and finding out that there's great power within you. So you become like a very powerful person through the powerlessness almost of your material self. As we discussed once before, an idea is the starting point of a deed or an action. Ideas can be formed into logical thoughts, and those can manifest themselves in as material eventually. That's possible. But an idea is always the starting point of a deed or an action that's going to follow shortly after that. If the idea is conceived of with truth and balance, then the idea will find its destiny with true value. That means, let's say, for instance, that you set an idea in motion and it's kind of a oddball idea. You suddenly decide that it would be a good idea to have a three-legged dog or something. Now, that idea may set you out on a path of genetic discovery, of mating dogs together with two-legged chickens or whatever to try things. The idea is that it was illogical to begin with, it was ill thought of, and it was a pretty silly idea. So it's never going to come to any good conclusion, is it? But if an idea is started from a point of truth, from a point of balance and understanding, if it's a good idea to begin with, in other words, if you set something in motion for the right reasons, then let it continue, that there's kind of a certainty to it, that logic then will unfold in a logical manner and something positive will actually come from it. That's something all of us have to learn more about. Starting ideas in motion for the right reasons and letting them happen. Getting out of the way, trying not to get in the way and impose your own will and value judgments on it. That's kind of what luck is. Luck, again, is a self-inflicted state caused by starting something in motion for the right reasons. And an important factor is to get out of the way of it. Once it does start in motion and things start happening, because one thing does lead to another, when that happens, you don't want to get in the way, like taking credit for your luck. As soon as you start doing that and getting involved in the luck, what happens? The luck stops. Then suddenly you say, I guess I wasn't so lucky after all. Well, in effect, you just got in the way. Okay? If an idea is based on absolute accuracy of logic, then the deed or action must bring fulfillment to evolution in every respect. Now, this concept means that if you start something in motion, an idea based on an absolute fact, for instance, like in physics, science, or math, if you would start something in motion, like EMC square, Einstein's theory of relativity, if that is an absolute fact, if it actually is, if you would start that idea in motion to a class of physicists, they would come to many different conclusions and findings and so forth based upon this factual knowledge that you started with. So the idea is if you start with a basic fact, an absolute fact, and let that fact continue in a logical fashion, then it must fulfill itself logically. That's just the way logic works. Thus, it's the powerful process of powerlessness, whereby the certainty of logic itself will cause a stipulated goal to be achieved. So in effect, we're going to set a thought in motion through a meditative exercise. This thought will be carefully thought out, researched, to the point where we know it's absolutely clear and logical. Then when we set that thing in motion, we know it's going to come to a logical conclusion correctly. So we have several things to deal with here. We're going to start talking about how we observe things, how we develop power, and how we develop these meditative exercises, and mentally why we want to do that. Okay, what we're talking about now is this goal or this object, the thing that we're going to meditate on, can be obtained because of our logic. All right? Now, let's define a few terms. When we're going to meditate on something, we're not going to meditate just on nothingness. We're not going to sit there in a stupor in a blank mind. We generally meditate to cause something to happen. Originally, we're going to meditate just as a practice exercise, just to see if we can do it. And finding out once that we can do it, we'll get better at it, and then we'll get to a point where we decide, I guess this is kind of useful. I think I'll meditate on purpose to do something, like stop smoking, or cure bad eating habits, or perhaps maybe sleep better, something simple like that. Later on, we might want to do more important things, correcting